again, everyone. I'm Ed Dubrow along with Lee Shaneth and Andy Coca at Mission Bay in San Diego. For the third consecutive year, we're getting set to bring you our coverage of the Miller Cup. In qualifying heats earlier today, 6 drivers earned their way into the winner-take-all finale. That's where they pay the prize money. Now let's meet the lucky 6. Then we'll show you how they got there.
Hi, I'm Milner Irvin from Miami, Florida. I'm driving the Frank Kinney Toyota Unlimited U5.
Hi, I'm Ron Armstrong, the driver of the Miss Bahia U80, and I'm from Lakewood, California.
Hi, I'm Steve Reynolds from Seattle, Washington, and I drive the 711 Chief Auto Parts turbine-powered hydroplane.
Ron Snyder, Pickaway, Ohio, driving a U6 Miss Madison, Holson Miss Madison.
Hi, I'm Jack Schaefer from Irvine, California, and I drive the U-17 Kempis Unlimited Hydroplane. Hi, I'm Todd Yarling from Hanover, Indiana. I drive the U-22 hydroplane.
Those are the 6 that have qualified for the big race. Should any fail to start, the first alternate is George Johnson. The second alternate is Jim Kropfeld, who set a new qualifying record here at Mission Bay. 2 others qualified to race but didn't earn the necessary points to be in the final, Scott Pierce and Jerry Hopp. As you saw at the top of the show, Chip Hanauer, who's won this race twice, Brenda Jones, who won her first race here at Mission Bay, and the inventive Jim Howenstein, who uses 8 Mercury outboards for power, failed to qualify. For those of you unfamiliar with unlimited racing, they get a flying start. The boats hit the water 10 minutes or so before the start and milled for position. For more on the start, let's go to my colleague Lee Shaney.
The start of a race is a race within a race. These drivers are out here looking around, watching where each one is. They'd all like to be on the inside. Sometimes you can say it's like a game of chicken, but they're going 150 miles an hour. They've got to get up to that starting line at the right time. A 1-minute gun will be fired. The yellow flag will be changed to white. Then they have 1 minute to get to the starting line. If they're over that starting line, they're penalized an extra lap. But most of the drivers are there at about 160 miles an hour, and that's probably the most exciting part of the whole race, is that start and run to the first turn.
Thanks, Lee. Now let's take a look at some of the earlier action. The first qualifying race of the day featured the 2 turbines of Jim Kropfeld and Steve Reynolds, along with Scott Pierce, Milner Irvin, and Todd Yarling. The turbines finished 1-2. Reynolds was the winner, averaging just under 127 miles an hour. We'll use the first lap to have Steve take us around the course so you'll know what the drivers are up against.
As we come down the home straightaway heading for the Los Angeles turn, the boat should be hitting about 180, 185 by the time we cross this starting line. The water right through here can sometimes get treacherous. We're very close to the shoreline. The waves have a tendency to roll back onto the race course. It's down into the Los Angeles turn at 100, 185 miles an hour into the first turn. They're wide turns, about 1,200 feet across. You can really let the boat hang out. We call this a flat track. This is a place where the hydroplane driver can let the boat all hang out. It's into the first turn, all you've got. We come out of the Los Angeles turn, hit up the back straightaway. Now the only area to look at right here of caution is the wind that sweeps over the top of this mound right over here toward Fiesta Island. As we're heading toward the SeaWorld turn, approaching speeds of 180 to 185, the true airspeed of the boat now comes up over 200 miles an hour, and drivers must pay strict attention to the attitude of the boat. We have to slow down ever so slightly because now our airspeed is over 200 miles an hour as we approach the SeaWorld turn. It's turn left into this corner, 1,200 feet. Let it all hang out. Come off this turn at 120. Throttle down. Accelerate toward the starting line. And it's back up to 100, 185 miles an hour, and we're off and running.
Thanks, Steve. The drivers earn points in these qualifying races. The 6 with the most points are in our final. While you watch the action in qualifying Heat 1A, Lee Shaneth will give us a lesson about these very complicated racing machines, half boat, half airplane. Lee?
This is an unlimited hydroplane, a conventional type, where the driver sits in back of the engine. He's uncomfortable because of the fumes, the heat. The newer type hydroplanes, the driver sits up forward of the engine. Hydroplane is about 30 feet long and weighs approximately 7,000 pounds. It rides on a cushion of air that flows between the two sponsons. This boat just sits on this bubble of air at speeds of over 160 miles an hour. On the left-hand side, you'll see this huge skid fin. This digs in the turn and helps the boat get around the turn much faster than they did years ago. Then we have a wing. This wing's adjustable. The crew between heats can adjust this wing to get the bow of the boat either up a little higher or keep it down in the water a little more. Whatever the conditions are, they can adjust to it. The rudder is offset. It's offset because the blast of the water coming off the propeller goes straight up into the air. If you notice, the propeller is only about 15 inches in diameter, but it turns 14,000 RPMs, and that's what gives these boats all the speed they have.
Thanks, Lee. The action continues in Heat 1A. There were 4 qualifying heats today. On the inside of the turbines, it's even more complicated. The days of putting on a T-shirt and a helmet to go racing are gone. Today's driver has to be a mathematician and a computer analyst. For a more detailed explanation, let's go to the current world champion, Jim Kropfeld.
Really, there's not very much to it at all. Before I leave the dock, every time my crew always gives me my instructions, such as, well, I'm supposed to turn on one of these switches here, and I got a couple buttons. Well, maybe not that one there, but I got a couple over here that when I press these here, something happens, and I flip a couple switches here, and well, actually, if you really want to know the truth, we have a computer that does everything for us. And all I do is plug it in, plug it in, plug it in.
Jim Kropfeld in a lighter mood. As we told you, this heat was won by Steve Reynolds. Ron Armstrong grabbed 1B. Heat 2A was won by Ron Snyder and 2B by Milna Irving. Exciting racing throughout the day, and there's more to come. Visiting with us is the honorary race chairman, San Diego's first female mayor, Maureen O'Connor. May I say this? Every time I come to your San Diego, I fall in love with it more. Whose 62 victories they say will never be topped. He was known as Mr. Unlimited. But this course on Mission Bay in San Diego is something special. It looked for financial reasons like there would no longer be unlimited racing here. But Bill Muncy put his money where his mouth was. His widow, Fran, and now the owner of Muncy Racing, remembers that day well. Earlier, we visited with her.
Bill went to the city council and told them what a great deal it was and how they should support it. And the mayor said, well, Bill, if you think it's such a good deal, why don't you guarantee it? He said, all right, I will.
After Bill's tragic death, you were faced with an awful lot of decisions, Fran.
Well, I talked to Atlas Van Lines, and they decided to back me. So the next step was finding a driver. And I thought, of all the drivers, Chip Hanauer was always Bill's favorite. But, of course, he already had a job, so I thought there would be no chance. But he wrote me a letter applying for the job. And so I just realized it was just a miracle. You know, it was just a lot of magic happening, and we just had to go forward. And so right then we had a team. If it had been my decision alone, I would have gotten out of the sport. But I felt that I had to do it for Bill, for his fans, for his memory, just because unlimited racing was his life.
In 5 years, 3 world championships and 5 consecutive Gold Cups. Fran Muncy proving she's more than a pretty face, and another of the stories behind the scenes in unlimited racing. The boats are going in the water. We're moments away from the start of the big race. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ed Dubrow, along with Lee Shaineth and Andy Coker, and a tremendous crowd encircling Mission Bay. We're getting set to bring you the 23rd running of the Miller Cup Unlimited Hydroplane Race. In qualifying heats earlier today, these 6 earned their way into the big race. Ron Snyder, Ron Armstrong, Milna Irvin, Jack Schaefer, and Todd Yarling, all with piston power. Steve Reynolds has jet power. Also working with us today is Alan D. While we keep an eye on the water, you can join Alan somewhere among the masses.
During Miller Cup Week, the thousands of volunteers of Thunderbolts Unlimited, the sponsoring organization, create a city within a city. What makes a city? The people, the families. For some, it's their first race. For others, the 22nd. Neat little home sites develop overnight. Most of them have been here all week. Every city has its country club set. You know, the ones that wangle the VIP passes. What's a city without the party crowd? The ones that know how to be comfortable and really live it up. sitting and browsing. The local Kiwanis Club is here for those that want to eat out. Over 300,000 people will carry home with them new memories, new friendships, new plans for next year, and maybe even a hangover or 2,000.
Thanks, Alan, for that inside look at California's largest sporting event. Meanwhile, back on the water, an unusual chain of events. A pre-race favorite, Milner Irvin, after leaving the pits, couldn't get it started. George Johnson, the first alternate, had the same problem. That opened the door for the second alternate, defending race champion Jim Kropfeld. But we're inside of 1 minute to the start. By the rules, he had to take it back. It's down to 5 for the big race. Hold the phone. Steve Reynolds is going dead right under our broadcast station. The field now down to 4, and we'll call this an old-fashioned Thunderbolt race. They're all piston-powered. Heading for the line, it's Armstrong, Snyder, Schaefer, and Yarling. Remember, if anyone crosses the line too soon, they'll be penalized a lap. A record-breaking crowd standing, cheering. It looks like a good start.
Yes, it was a good start. No one jumped the gun. They were all just a second or two behind the gun, so it was a good legal start.
45-year-old Ron Armstrong from just up the road in Lakewood, California, the hometown favorite, has grabbed that inside lane. Another casualty. Ron Snyder is coming in. The Holset Miss Madison team won the Continental Airlines Sportsmanship Award. That's a trip of their choice. Snyder must be thinking, when can I leave? Lap 1 in the book, average speed 124 miles an hour, down to a 3-boat shootout. There's your leader, Ron Armstrong.
Yes, and he's not slowing down at all. The motors sound strong. The boat's handling good. He's out front. He can smell it, and he's going for it.
In the unfamiliar role of spectators, the current world champion Jim Kropfeld on your right, and Chip Hanauer, the winningest active driver on the Unlimited circuit, on your left. They can only watch today, but they dominated the Unlimited schedule in '86. Ron Armstrong has a commanding lead, so let's use this opportunity to review the past season. Jim Kropfeld served notice that he'd be tough in a new turbine-powered Miss Bud. His first step to his second world championship was a win in Miami. Ron Snyder nailed down second. It was on to the 2.5-mile Detroit River, considered the birthplace of unlimited racing, for the APBA Gold Cup, witnessed by over 500,000. Chip Hanauer, piloting the turbine-powered record-breaker Miller American, won his 5th straight Gold Cup, a feat thought impossible in tying the record set by the immortal Gar Wood in 1921. Hanauer had a perfect day on the course, considered the toughest on the Unlimited circuit, but he was pushed to the limit by Jim Kropfeld. It was one of the guttiest performances by both drivers in Unlimited history. As they circled the course, the fans didn't cheer. They yelled, "Ride 'em, cowboy." An emotional Chip Hanauer had his 5th straight Gold Cup. Next year, the Gold Cup will be held here in San Diego. Make your plans now. They expect a record crowd. Madison, Indiana, the Ohio River, and the 35th running of the Indiana Governor's Cup. Hanauer set competition and lap records on the way to another checkered flag. Evansville, Indiana, the 2-mile tri-oval, the 8th running of Thunder on the Ohio. Jim Kropfeld picked up the winner's check, but it was Ron Snyder's lucky day. Earlier in the day, a near tragedy. Snyder hooked a sponson in the turn and was thrown from the Holset Miss Madison. In the newer boats, the drivers use safety harnesses just like in race cars. This is one of the reasons why. Snyder suffered bruises but was ready for the next race. The 35th Seafair Emerald Cup on Lake Washington in Seattle. It was another perfect day for Chip Hanauer on this 2-mile course before 400,000 hometown fans. Hanauer and Kropfeld certainly will join my colleague Lee Shaineth in the Unlimited Racing Hall of Fame to be built in Seattle. Another great season planned for '87. Warning, Unlimited hydroplane racing is contagious. San Diego certainly looking forward to hosting the Gold Cup for the 3rd time. And on the water here at Mission Bay, a jubilant Ron Armstrong can hardly stay in the boat. He's a half a mile away from his first Unlimited victory.
Right now, at this point, as a driver, you start hearing all sorts of little weird noises.
But not for Ron Armstrong, Andy. All he hears is that healthy Allison engine and the cheers for a hometown hero. Todd Yarling will finish second. It's been a day of survival. I'll be right back to talk with the new champ. As you can tell, I am with an elated Ron Armstrong. And Ron, congratulations on your very first Unlimited win. You made it a big one.
Yeah, we did. It feels so good. I mean, I just can't even describe it. Like I said before, it almost feels as good as my little daughter was born. Special feeling.
Got to think about You're out there. You know you have a chance. Everything has gone wrong this week, and I felt you went out with the attitude you could win.
Yeah, I really did. It just felt right. You know, I knew the turbines were having trouble. I figured we could handle the piston boats, given a little bit of luck. And when I came around on the start, it just felt like this was the day. This was the day for the win.
Congratulations once again. Continued success.
Thank you very much.